School districts across the country are finding high levels of lead in the water flowing from their drinking fountains.
State officials here in Arizona say we don't have that problem. But Chief Investigative Reporter Morgan Lowe found out your child's pediatrician may disagree.
It was my home, away from home. My daughters grew up there.
Jenny Stockfish taught second grade in the same classroom for 18 years. In May of last year, this sign abruptly appeared on the class water fountain.
The sign said, do not drink or use for cooking based on results from lead testing.
What Jenny did not know was that the Department of Environmental Quality had tested the water in her classroom for lead, part of a statewide effort to find out if Arizona schools have a lead problem.
Had you any idea they had been testing?
I was clueless. I had no idea.
How much lead was in that water?
Well, initially it was 500 parts per billion, and 15 was the action level to turn the water off.
What goes through your mind when you think of all those times you filled up your mug?
I know I drink that water. Students did. My daughters did.
Lead is known to cause learning disabilities, developmental delays, and lowered IQ in children. It is thought to get into the water system through lead solder and pipes, some fixtures, valves, and sediment. ADEQ tested 16,000 samples from 14,000 fixtures in 1,400 schools and concluded that just 4% of the faucets and fountains required attention.
That's great news, right? Maybe not. You see, critics, including some doctors, worry that the state tested to the wrong standard.
There's nothing illegal about what ADEQ did, but it isn't the standard that the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends.
That organization says lead levels should not exceed 1 part per billion in school water fountains. The EPA allows for up to 20 parts per billion in schools. Arizona targeted faucets that exceeded 15 parts per billion.
They seem to indicate in this report that anything under 15 parts per billion is safe.
When we start arguing over 15 parts per billion or 1 part per billion, which are the various standards that are tossed around, we kind of miss the point that children should not be exposed to lead in the first place.
Diane Brown is the executive director of Arizona Public Interest Research Group. She worries that the state is giving parents a false sense that their school water is safe when it may not be.
We understand that they don't want to alarm the public. That said, parents and caregivers have a right to know what children are being exposed to.
Can you understand why parents are concerned that there's any lead in the water that their kids drink?
I understand the concern.
Misael Cabrera is the ADEQ director.
It's important to understand that the chief of toxicology for the University of Arizona Banner Medical Center has called our approach abundantly protective.
But we've got these pediatricians who are saying, no, it should be much lower.
So I read the American Academy of Pediatricians policy paper, and it's important to understand that it was a policy paper, not a scientific paper.
Cabrera insists that the schools where the lead was a problem have been identified and that nearly 80% of those fountains have been replaced.
If school districts feel like they want a remedy to a lower level, they are more than welcome to apply for grant funding from the School Facilities Board or address those issues themselves.
We want the communication to be upfront, want it to be transparent.
This is video of school maintenance workers switching out the faucet and sink in Jenny Stockfish's classroom. She says she's still not convinced the faucet was the problem.
At this point, do you know where that lead came from?
No.
They just replaced the faucet.
They replaced all the parts, but they never investigated where the lead was actually leaching from.
If you want to find your child's school, we have a link to the ADEQ test results on our AZ Family webpage and our mobile app. Chris?